Hey everyone, welcome to the OmniCAP educational event. My name's Peyton. I'm super excited to be walking you through your OmniCAP client website today. Just want to put a reminder out there, this is a live event, so feel free to ask a question anytime you want. We might stop it to answer your question right then, or we have saved some time at the end of the event to get to your questions. So stay tuned. We'll get to your question. We won't forget about you. But let's dive right in. We have some desired learning objectives today. First of which is how to access OmniCAP. So best way to access your OmniCAP is actually through our website. And if you haven't been on our website recently, we got a new one, so it's pretty cool. Get on there, check it out. But we've got it pulled up here on the screen, so I'll show you how to get to your OmniCAP. Best way to sign in. You might remember it from our last website is the Client Central button. So we'll click on that right here in the top right. And I want to draw your attention to the OmniCAP tutorial videos. Those are new. We worked really hard on those. And please feel free to check those out. What those are a little bit more in-depth videos than what we're going to cover today. But they're on our YouTube page through this link. And they're designed to walk you through from when you get that initial email from your advisor all the way to setting up spending and budgeting on your OmniCAP, which is one of those last things you do. So feel free to check those out. They're really good, really thorough, and always, if you have any questions, ask your advisor. We'd be happy to dive more into those. But we're here to get onto our OmniCAP. So we'll use this tile right here, and it'll bring us to this sign-in page, all right? Keep in mind, if you copy and paste just this URL, it might not bring you to the right sign-in page. So always a good rule of thumb, make sure that the OmniStar logo is right there when you go to sign in. All right, so once we're here, we just sign in. And that'll bring us right to our home page. And that's where we'll start. All right. Our next learning objective is setting the optimal settings on our OmniCAP. All right, so these are optimal settings for you and your advisor. All right, so how we do that, we're going to come right up here, go up to settings. I want to do this first. We'll go over to privacy. And then right where it's on spending permissions, all right, we want to make sure that our advisor has full permission, all right? This allows our advisor to help us with things like budgeting and then have access to the transactional data so we have accurate spending data for our planning on our end through our planning software. So make sure that that's on full. Once that's there, it should just look like this, and you're good to go. So we'll go back to our home page, and we'll talk about it a little bit. So your home page is, it gives you a really nice aggregate view of everything. So not only do we have all these tiles on the page, and not only do they show us good information at a glance, they're also links to the different tabs on our website. So if I wanted to go to the Goals tab, I could just click on this. Brings me right to the Goals tab. All right, we'll dive into this a little bit later. Go back to that home page. So we've got our net worth, which if we click on that, brings up a balance statement. We can go right to our investments page. Scrolling down, we have our Goals tab, spending, any insurance we might have down here, protection, right? And then we have our accounts page, right? Easiest way to add accounts, right? And so these accounts right here, they're going to consist of the accounts that you have at OmniStar at Fidelity, and then you can link other accounts. So your advisor is able to link any of your accounts that you have at Fidelity at OmniStar. So what you need to do, there's a little bit of legwork in the beginning, but after it just runs smoothly, it's nice and integrated. We want to link the accounts that we have outside of OmniStar, all right? So that could be things like savings accounts, credit cards, any loans, liabilities that we have at other banking institutions, things like that. So I'm going to show you how to add an account. So the easiest way to do it is to come to this blue icon right here. We click on it. We're going to say that we have an online login. And there's some different technologies that work behind the scenes, but essentially what this is doing is this is actually going to route you to that institution's website. So you have to have an online login for that institution. And if you have that, it'll route you to their site and it'll create a connection between OmniCAP and their site. So all of that data can come over and update automatically on your OmniCAP. So you're always looking at the most up-to-date information, all right? You might be wondering what the CAP part of OmniCAP stands for. It stands for Centralized Advanced Planning. So the idea is to put everything into one website so you know you can get on to OmniCAP and you can see everything without having to go to 4 or 5 different institution sites. So our example today, we're going to link eMoney Bank. All right, so here I'm going to type in eMoney. All right, and it's called eMoney Bank, but I'm just going to type in eMoney. So other example would be Wells Fargo. We could just type in Wells right here. We hit search, and there might be more than one search results. So we just click on the one that we think is right. Right, this looks pretty good to me. All right, I'm acknowledging. And what I want to do here is I want to take a minute to make sure that this URL is the correct URL. All right, so if I wanted, we'll go back to that Wells Fargo example. I want to make sure that the Wells Fargo URL that I go to sign in on is this one. All right, there's no danger in if you typed your information on the wrong URL. It's just, it's just not going to work. You're not logging into the right website. So I want to make sure the logo and that URL looks right. I could even click on it if I wanted to make sure. All right, so I'm going to log in to this site. It's going to verify my credentials. All right, boom, all right. And this could be a little bit different for different institutions. Some might route you to their website. Some might ask for 2-factor authentication where you have to do a text code. But this one, it's just I've successfully linked it, and now it's showing me all of the accounts that I have there, and I can link them. All right, so I'm going to look through, make sure that this is all correct, looks good, and I'm going to link it. All right, and this brings me back to my accounts page where I'm going to scroll down and find that new connection right here. And if any of these names look funky to me, like this is a mortgage, not ** gauge. So I'm just going to rename that. I click on it and I'm going to hit edit, all right? And I'm going to title it mortgage. Hit save, all right? Oh, and that's on my primary residence. Awesome, all right? So now that looks a lot better, all right? We can just go back to our home page. There we can view all those accounts just in a little bit different fashion, all right? Make sure that everything's coming over correctly. Awesome, all right? And if anything's got a blue button, just like this 529 plan here, we could click on that blue link account, and that is how we could link that another way by not just having to click on that add account. One last thing I want to direct your attention to on the home page is the attention needed, right? You might not see this on your OmniCAP, and if you don't, awesome, great. You don't have any connections that need updating. If this is here, this is just telling you that something's a little off on your connections, all right? And that might not require you to do anything. So in this case, the Bank of America connection it cannot update the values, all right? Well, there's nothing I can do. It says no action needed, all right? So that's likely an institution thing where something's going wrong there with the connection. that will get fixed. There's nothing I need to do. If there was something I needed to do, I would have a blue button that would say repair, and I could click on that. And the most likely reason for that would be if you changed your password. That causes the connection to break. All you have to do is just type in your new password and it will resume. All right? Cool. So we'll move over to our organizer page, and I like to call this the second home page. Here's where you can add some more information that you'd like to for review for your advisor to know. All right, so we have all of this right here. Let's dive into this client, OmniCAP sample. And what we want to do is we just want to make sure that this information is correct in basic info. And if you want to make it personal, be fun with it. Add a photo that makes your advisor, that way when they get on, they're always looking at your smiling face or whatever picture you'd like to put. And you can do that for all of your family members. All right, so your spouse, child, in-laws, grandchild, would love to see baby photos. That'd be really cool. Put a smile on your advisor's face when they're building some scenarios for you. You can also not just add people, add the property that matters most to you. So you can add cars, your primary residence, things like that. Those are very important. They matter in your financial portfolio, so they should go here in property. Also want to direct your attention to income, expenses, and savings. So here, what we can do, we want to make sure that this page is tight, all right? So if there's any, you want to put your salary, your spouse's salary, or any other income that you have, you want to make sure that this is represented here because we want that involved in your financial plan. Another thing that's very important is living expenses, all right? So living expenses are not things, does not include liabilities. So if you have a mortgage, we don't need to include that in our annual living expenses figure here. All right, anything that's going to be connected back on that home page through an account, all right, we don't need to add it here. All right, that's going to come over in a different section, different category. Things that we want to include in living expenses are groceries, restaurants, your subscription to Amazon, those things, those are what we include here. So that number should be smaller than your overall expenses, all right? And then any annual contributions. So here this client contributes to a Roth IRA every year. We have that included right there. Awesome. We'll go back to our organizer page, all right? And there's a lot of other things I encourage you to dive into. We won't dive in too much to those. One thing, click on your financial priorities. You can rank things that matter most to you, and your spouse can do the same, right? Those are helpful for your advisor to know when we're putting plans and thinking of things to benefit you, all right? So now we'll click over to our Goals tab. And Goals is really cool, all right? So goals is where we can put all the things that you're looking forward to most in your life. Retirement, getting that vacation home, new car, things that are just really important and that we at OmniStar, we want to help you achieve. So here we're able to see our lifetime portfolio in a year-by-year view, all right? So each of these bars shows our net worth growing over time, yay, and we're in accumulation, and then we get into our distribution phase in life, and at the end we have a legacy to leave, which is awesome. These are things, the goals page is intended to create dialogue between you and your advisor. So if you want to leave a legacy, if that's important to you, let your advisor know. If you want to go on a big vacation to Australia in a couple years, let your advisor know. We can start planning for it, make that benefit as beneficial to you as possible, have the least impact. So we've got all of our goals down here. So this client, they want to spend $120,000 a year in retirement. They'd love to fund their grandchild's college, right? And they have a $15,000 a year travel expense, right? So these goals can be edited, and you can also change your funding source right here. How am I funding this, right? So if anything changed, anything you know is going to change, you can get on here and change those yourself, right? However, if you just want to get on here and play around, so maybe you're thinking about buying a new car, I encourage you, so right now we're in current goals, right? So these are things that we at OmniStar, we call those the base facts. So those are things that are in your plan, your advisor already knows about, but maybe you've been thinking, oh, I want to buy a new car. So we'll come up here, we'll go to explore mode, right? And this is what we call the sandbox. You get to come here, you get to play, see, what could you do, all right? You'll be able to see how these bars change, how this would impact your plan. But if we want to do a new car, we can come up here to add a goal. Look, new car, all right? Goal name of new car is fine. Let's say I want to do that in 3 years, right? So 2025. 2025, and I want to budget $60,000 for a new car. I'll save that. Awesome, all right? So now I have, instead of 3 of 3 goals fully funded, 3 of 4 out of 4 of my goals are funded, all right? So that new one, I haven't funded it yet. So how do I want to fund it? So we can see here on our lifetime chart here, we have some life events. So this is where we retire. This is where our grandchild goes to college, all right? But we have this new goal of the new car, but it's red, right? Which means it's not funded yet. So we need to come down here, find that goal, and we're gonna add a new funding source, all right? So we wanna select funding sources, all right? And we want this to come out of our investment account, all right? So we'll save it. Bam, all right, and awesome. Looks like 100% of this goal will be funded through here, all right? And so what this does is this actually will alert your advisor that you're thinking about doing something, and they'll get an email, and they might give you a call, and it'll facilitate discussion about, hey, do you want to buy that car? Let's look into the best way to do that. Should you lease? Should you take a loan out? Should you pay it all in cash? That could be really good discussion and all for your benefit. So I encourage you to play around in explore mode. It could be really cool. All right. So now we'll click over to the spending tab. A lot of clients love the spending tab. It's really cool when utilized. So what the spending tab does is if you link all of your transactional accounts, so that could be checking accounts, that could be credit cards, things like that that we spend, we buy things with, all of those that data will come through OmniCAP, and we'll be able to see that here in the spending tab. And it breaks it down for us. It's a really powerful budgeting tool, and that's what our clients love it for. So we have some transactional accounts already linked, so we're able to see what this tab can do. So we've got our overview right here of our spending by category. So it breaks our spending down into categories. And if these numbers look a little off, you can always go over here to transactions, and we can look further, all right? So there could be some, we got pending transactions we're looking through, all right? And sometimes if we haven't gotten on and cleaned some things up, so if we just linked our cards, there could be some transactions that the software doesn't categorize properly or categorize at all. So an example of this would be this coastal reef transaction here, all right? So this client is really into reefing, all right? So Coastal Reef is a fish store. So that shouldn't be unclassified. That should be in hobbies. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on it. We'll come over to where it says unclassified, and it's going to give us a lot of categories. All right, so this one is in shopping. We'll click that arrow, and that's in sports and hobbies. All right, so we've just changed this one transaction. All right, so now instead of being in the unclassified category, it's going to show up in the sports and hobbies category. So there could be more transactions. All right, if this is a constant that we go to, so likely this client goes to Coastal Reef often, what we can do is we can create a rule. All right, so we're going to come over here, create rule. So we always want to contain transactions, always want to update transactions that contain this description. All right, and what I want you to do is take note of the description and then the 50 transactions that will be impacted. All right, so you can see they're all coming over as unclassified, but we want them to be like this. All right, so if this doesn't make sense, if this was saying other things, we don't want to change things that aren't sports and hobbies here. We want to make sure we're changing the right transactions. So that's why we review these, make sure that this is correct. All right, this all looks like Coastal Reef to me. Good. All right, we can save this rule, and that rule was created. So now all of those will change right there, sports and hobbies. Cool. So once we have this tight, and I encourage you to tighten up the transactions, it doesn't take much. There could be a couple here and there, or some might come over perfectly. But I encourage you to look at it, make sure it's coming over right, and then we can dive into budgeting, right? So we've already established budgeting. This client has already done that. If you haven't yet, it's going to give you an option to create an auto budget. So this is what this is. We just clicked create an auto budget, and the last 12 months of spending, it's able to take the categories of those, and we have this budget that's created. So this client's doing pretty good this month, well within their budget except for auto and transport. So they're doing great there, and key there is to make sure that we have those transactions categorizing everything right before we create the budget. All right, cool. So now that brings us over to the Vault tab. All right. So in the Vault, this is the most powerful tab in all of OmniCAP. In my opinion, in that this is something that eliminates something else you might have already been using, right? So if you were paying for a Dropbox subscription or for extra storage on your iPhone, you don't have to anymore, all right? This is unlimited cloud storage. Right here, you have access to it as an OmniStar client, which is awesome. So this is also our preferred portal for submitting any documents to your advisor. So if we ask to see your tax returns when we're diving into your financial plans, we'd prefer that you submit them through the Vault rather than just email them to us, right? Far more secure that way. So how we use the Vault is we go to, let's take a minute to look at the overview. So we've got a lot of folders here, all right? And we've already got some folders going. There might be more as the more documents you upload, but you see that you can't upload anything to this main page here. Look, permission denied. So there's only 2 folders that we can upload to, all right? And that's the shared documents folder and the private documents folder. So if we click on the shared documents folder, now look, the upload button is illuminated. We can click on that, all right? Upload a file right from our computer, right? And those are anything we put in there, those will be shared with your advisor. So as I mentioned before, things like tax returns, legal documents, power of attorney, life insurance documents, statements. Those are things that we want in the shared documents folder. and then your advisor will create these other folders and move the documents to them, right? So we can still click into these folders and view those documents. In the My Private Documents folder, that's the other folder you can upload to. Here's where we upload things. We could upload things like passports, family information. A lot of our clients down here at the coast, they upload pictures of their property for insurance purposes. Just anything that's taken up storage or is very important and you want stored here. You don't necessarily want your advisor to have access to it. Put it in the Private Documents folder, and it's secure on the cloud, and you can access it from wherever you have Wi-Fi. All right, and just to show you that you can still access anything when it's been moved. All right, so I can't upload to the to-do folder, but I can still access any document in it. All right, and look, we've got a nice checklist of things that we want uploaded to the vault. So I'll leave that up there. You can read those, see some things that are that you might have that would be great to put into the vault, and that's where we will break, see if there are any questions from the audience. McKay, do we have any questions?
We do have one question about the vault. Can OmniStar upload my fidelity statements to the vault for me?
Yes. All right. And thanks for asking that. So there is actually a feature where if you have your fidelity accounts linked on your OmniCAP, what you can do is you can tell your advisor that you would like your statements to come right to your vault. All right. So if they're linked here, and like I said, your advisor can link those. What they'll do is they'll click a button, and documents, there will be a new folder called Statements, where each month your fidelity statements will be you'll be able to access those right from your vault. That's a great question. Do we have any others?
Is OmniCAP secure?
Well, that's a great question as well, and something that would be good to touch on. So OmniCAP is certainly secure. The company that runs OmniCAP is actually Fidelity. So if you trust Fidelity to house your money, trust OmniCAP as well. It's the same cybersecurity department. That's a $250 million a year department. And if you ever want to read up on it, you can scroll right down to the bottom of your OmniCAP. Click on Security. All right, got some good stuff to read here. But if you want a page that you can print and read later, click on that, and we have Safe and Secure. So it's got all the highest security features and protections. So we've got password protection with two-factor authentication. They do routine security testing. They have the highest data encryption to date. And the key is everything on here is non-transactional. So all those accounts that you linked, all right, they're just sharing account data. I can't withdraw any money. I can't make a credit card payment. I can't do anything like that on my OmniCAP. I can just only view that data, all right? So be safe. Take comfort in knowing that it is safe and secure. Not going to say it can't be hacked, but certainly never been hacked and wouldn't be low-hanging fruit.
Is there a mobile site available for OmniCAP?
Well, glad you asked that as well. That's a great question. So we'll go back to our OmniCAP, and we'll come to the home page. There isn't a mobile application that you can download on iOS or Android for OmniCAP quite yet, but there is a mobile-friendly site. Right? So the layout's going to be just a little different, but I encourage you to check that out. It's a really powerful tool, and if you wanted to read up more on it, you can come to the home page, and if you come up in the top right corner and click Help, all right? And if you also have any questions, want to see more handouts without asking your advisor, and please feel free to call OmniStar. Anybody on our team would be happy to help you do any of these. But if you want to do some digging, maybe it's late hours and you're on the site, you can come here and look up all these helpful help pages, these user guides. And here we have one about accessing the mobile site. I won't click on it. It's a couple pages, but it explains all the cool stuff the mobile site has to offer and how to use it, how to best use it. I would say the biggest takeaway that the mobile site provides is that you still have full access to the vault. So anything you upload there, you have access to through the vault on that mobile site, which is really powerful. You can have things like birth certificate, license pictures in the vault, things like that. You have at your fingertips. Insurance cards, stuff like that is can help you, and it's secure, good place to keep it. You'll always have it. So that's a great question. Any more?
That's all we got right now, but keep the questions coming, guys.
Yeah, keep the questions coming. Awesome. Thanks for asking, and yeah, we'll keep rolling. So I did want to show you some other features on the home page. So on the home page, we have we can customize it a little bit if we so choose. So these tiles here with the gears, we can actually change how those look. So if we come up and click on the gear for the investments page, we have 3 other options that we can choose if we want to make our site our own. Everybody wants to do that. So I like this one right here. I'm going to click on that, hit OK, and boom, now my investments looks a little bit different. I've got my top accounts right there. I can see the account values. I like that a little bit more. And so that's a cool thing you can do on your home page. All right. I also we can go into the organizer page. All right. And we can touch on some other things. So I want to click on or highlight some things. So we have this accounts page here, and that's the page that it brought us to when we linked that eMoney bank account. But here is where we can see all of our connections. And it used to be, I don't know how long everyone in the audience has had OmniCAP, but this used to be where you had to go to update any accounts that weren't reporting properly. So really awesome that they have that tool or that tile on the home page now. But we can still click on anything that needs attention, right? And we can update, refresh, all right? Do all those things to try and revive that connection if we need to. But we get a good message here. This is a temporary problem, no action needed. Go back to that organizer tab. And we have professional contacts. So this is important, all right, for your advisor to know, okay? So if I have a CPA, for instance, that does my taxes every year, I can put them in OmniCAP, right? Put their contact information, their name, their firm. That's all important stuff for your advisor to know. So we can start building a rapport with them and get them on the same page with your financial planning. But heaven forbid something happens to you, we know who to start contacting. So having not just family in OmniCAP is so important, but having those estate planning attorneys, having your CPA in here, it's very important and can make a tough time flow a lot more smooth. Coming back into the organizer, we touched on those financial priorities, all right? But let's revisit those. So if you have time, I encourage you, check out all the priorities and rank them, all right? So we put them in there, and then if minimizing taxes was my most important goal, I can make that my top goal, and then we can compare that to facilitate discussion with your spouse's goals. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're different, all right? That can spark a conversation, and maybe a very important one when we're going through your planning. All right, we'll go back to the organizer. And again, I smile every time I see the baby picture. It's awesome. Upload those pictures, everybody. So going back to the goals tab, just want to reemphasize anything in the goals tab. If it's a goal that's going to happen, if you know that you're going to build, if you've already bought a lot and you're going to build your house next year, go ahead and add the goal right here in current goals, right? That way it puts that expense in what we call the base facts, all right? And so that way your advisor knows that it's happening. Anything you put in the sandbox doesn't necessarily get added to the base facts right away. Your advisor, he just gets an email about what you put in there, but it doesn't actually affect your planning. And I encourage you, use the sandbox, play in it, see what you can do, and get some discussion facilitated with your advisor. Awesome. We'll click over to the spending tab. All right, so in the spending tab, if we are on that budgeting tool, so if any of these budgets looks a little bit off to you, all right, so say maybe, no, I don't really spend $2,345 on food each month, or maybe I do and I want to start working on getting better at that, we can click on the pencil right here and we can change that value. All right, say maybe I want to go down to only $1,500 a month for food. I can save that, and there now I have I've changed my goal, and every time this one of these bars reaches this diamond right here, you're going to get an email alert that, hey, you're starting to reach your budget for the month on food, or on cash ATM withdrawals, right? That way it keeps you accountable, you know what's going on, and it can be a really powerful tool. A lot of our clients really enjoy using that, all right? We can click on the investments tab. We didn't get to touch on that in the beginning, but we got some time now, so we'll click on that. And here's where we'll have all of our accounts, all right? We'll be able to see rough performance, all right? We'll be able to see some allocation, all right? How's our account allocated? All good stuff, but for in-depth things, I encourage you to go over to fidelity.com. That's where you'll really get to dive in to your accounts a little bit more. And there's actually, on your account, if it's linked, right here where it says research, it'll say fidelity.com, and it can route you right over there, all right? Cool. Okay, we have any questions? No questions yet. Cool. We have a little bit more time, so I do want to go over to the Reports tab. And in the Reports tab, this is actually really powerful. You have access to 128 reports. And so you can run things as in-depth as gap analysis for life insurance, all the way to, to a simple balance sheet like we're looking at right now, statement of cash flows. Those things are all really powerful and can keep you on top of your plan, on top of your financial portfolio. But again, the idea is to facilitate discussion with your advisor, right? So if you're looking through your balance sheet, you see something's a little off, you can bring that up in your next meeting, or if you're playing around with any of the analysis reports, if you think you need something, ask that question to your advisor. They're happy to help. So feel free to call in. Right here, we've got our tasks assigned to you section. So if you have anything, and we'll go back to that to-do tab in the vault, right? So if your advisor needs you to upload your statements, say maybe you have another account and we want to take a second look at it, let you know, check under the hood, see how that account's performing. We might ask you to upload the statement, and so a to-do that we'll have from that meeting will assign a task to you in OmniCAP, where you'll know when you get on, oh, duh, I got to upload that statement. So you'll get on and do that. All right. and any alerts, all right? So every time you share a document or a change is made in your plan, you'll get an alert letting you know what happened. Gets you a checkup right when you get on the site. Cool. And we'll go back over to that Vault page. Check at that to-do list again. I want to highlight some things that are important for us to have on here. So remember those wills, deeds, any trusts that you have. Those are very important for us to have on the estate planning side. Any directives, those are important for us to have as well. We definitely want to know if the Social Security info. OmniCAP does a pretty good job of estimating Social Security income. So if you haven't put that in, it's estimating it from your current income. But clients come from all over. They might have had different incomes at times of their life. So that might affect their Social Security. So if you have any of that info, please share it with us. Put that in the vault. Any pension plans, those plan documents, very important for us to see as well. Life insurance, tax returns. We'd love to see the last 3 years of tax returns. If those aren't in your vault, we'd be happy to help you get those uploaded. Those are very important for us when we're trying to dive into your plan and do those things for you. I'll keep that up. McKay, do we have any questions? Well, it looks like we're running into our 45-minute window. The last 15 were 4 questions. Anybody has any last-minute questions, please feel free to type those. If you want to have a meeting with an advisor or a planner about OmniCAP, maybe you have some other questions, you want to dive into some things, see how anything works. I know we went through rather fast, but if anything stood out to you today or something was a little confusing, you weren't able to do it on your site, give us a call. We're happy to help. And thanks so much for tuning in to the OmniCAP tutorial, OmniCAP educational event. My name's Peyton. It was a pleasure to walk you through everything, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thanks so much.